Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2015 GMC Sierra 1500, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster base plate kit with removable arms. So there's going to be a total of 5 main components that you're going to need to flat tow your Sierra down the road. The first one's going to be your base plate. And the base plate is going to provide us with a solid and reliable connection point. That way we can hook up our tow bar. Tow bar is going to be that second component, and this is going to be the physical link that actually connects your GMC to the back of your motorhome. The third main component is going to be safety cables, and these are there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. These are going to keep your Sierra attached to your motorhome. The fourth main component is going to be tow bar wiring, and that's going to transfer the lighting signals from the back of your motorhome to the back of your GMC, keeping you not only safe but legal as well. And last but not least, the fifth main component is going to be a braking system. And what that braking system is going to do is apply the brakes in your truck whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome, helping to bring you to a more safe and predictable stop. And then there are a couple more components that aren't absolutely necessary to flat tow your GMC, but do make life a little bit easier whenever you want to flat tow it. And one of them is going to be the Roadmaster automatic battery disconnect. Since these trucks require you to disconnect the battery whenever you flat tow, that could be a hassle sometimes, having to get under there, undo the cables and so on. And with the automatic disconnect, all you're going to have to do is push a button to turn your battery off and on. So really simple, saves a lot of time. The other component would be a charge line kit. And what that's going to do is more or less maintain your truck's battery, or almost trickle charge it whenever you're towing it. And that's important because a lot of braking systems actually rely on the truck's battery power. And if you use it a lot or don't get in your truck and start it up every now and again, whenever you're doing that, you could potentially drain your battery and make it a hassle to jump start it when you get to your destination. And that charge line kit is going to eliminate that. It's going to keep your battery charged. That way when you're ready to disconnect and drive your truck around, you know it's going to start up. So this is what the base plate is going to look like whenever you're not using it. And personally, I don't think it looks too bad. You know, it kind of fits the look of a pickup truck. It does come through these factory openings, and more or less it's going to replace your factory tow hook. So with the base plate being here, it really doesn't look out of place or anything like that. And since it does come through these openings, it's going to give us a lot of room to work with it and get everything hooked up. So something that I think is pretty important, not only with base plates, but your whole flat tow setup in general, is going to be the ease of use. How long does it take to set up and disconnect and so on. And since this base plate uses these removable arms, it's going to be really straightforward and simple and not take up a whole lot of your time. So the way these are going to work is they're just going to slide right into place, and you want to make sure this tab here lines up with the tab on this side, and those are there just so you can put a lock there, keep this secure if you wanted to. But this just slides right in. Then you're going to have a pin and clip, which that goes right through. And that's really all there is to it. Then you're ready to hook up your tow bar. But with this one in, the other side is going to be set up the same exact way. So once you have your base plate arms in, all you're going to have to do is take the end of your tow bar, line that hole up with the hole in your arms, take the pin, slide it through, and then there's kind of a keeper pin here, if you will, that runs through there and locks everything in place. So really straightforward. And take your safety cables, put them on the attachments there, plug in your wiring and your other components, and you're ready to flat tow. Now what's nice about this base plate is it's going to work with most Roadmaster tow bars. It's going to hook right up. But if you have a different end or a different brand of tow bar, chances are pretty good you're still going to be able to use it, and that's because there's many different adapters available right here at eTrailer that'll allow the two to pair together. So this is what it's going to look like once everything is hooked up, and I think it looks really clean and organized. and easy to use, which is really important. Now, compared to some of the other base plates, as far as the ease of use and appearance goes, they're all going to be about the same, so not any major differences there. There is a crossbar style base plate kit that has a bar that runs from side to side, and honestly, not too crazy about those. They're not really necessary, and just add one or two more components that you don't really need. And not to mention, with that bar running across too, it kind of just clutters things up a little bit. So personally, I'm a big fan of the direct connect kits like this one here, and I think that's the way to go. There is something I do want to mention, and that is the use of a high-low adapter, which is this right here. Some of you may need it, some of you may not, but the whole purpose of this is to make sure that our tow bar rides nice and level. That way our vehicle tracks correctly and just pulls nice behind our motorhome. And the rule of thumb is you want your motorhome's hitch pin hole to be within 3 inches of the hole here in our base plate, the attachment point. And just kind of a quick reference, on our particular truck, from the center of the pinhole there down to the ground is 16 inches. Now keep in mind, yours could be a little different depending on, if your truck is lifted or has different wheels and tires, but just wanted to give you a reference. And so what you do, take that measurement, compare it to the measurement from the hitch pin hole on your motorhome, and make sure you're within that 3 inches. Now, if you exceed that, you can use this high-low adapter to correct it. And here at eTrailer, we have many different sizes available, so you should have no problem finding the one that's best suited for your particular application. So at the end of the day, a setup you really can't go wrong with. It's going to provide us with that nice, secure connection point. That way we can hook up our tow bar to. And honestly, I think it looks really good on the front of our GMC. As far as the installation goes, actually getting the base plate itself on really isn't too bad. However, it's just getting to that point. You are going to have to remove your grille and your front bumper to give you the room and space that you need to get everything attached. But as long as you take your time and stay patient, really shouldn't give you a whole lot of issues. Speaking of which, let's go ahead, pull into the shop, and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here at the front of our truck. Went ahead and pop the hood, and the first thing that we're going to do is remove some push pin style fasteners here on top of our radiator cover. There's going to be a total of 12 fasteners along the radiator cover that look just like this, and those will be kind of just spread out along the length of the cover. And a way to get these out, you can take a trim tool or even a flathead screwdriver and pry underneath the head of it and underneath the base, and it'll pull right out. So I'll do that same thing to get the remaining fasteners removed. So with all those fasteners now removed, you can lift up on your cover and we'll set it off to the side. Now if we move to our front wheel wells, we're going to have some fasteners we need to remove. So we're going to have a 7mm screw there, and right there, and a little bit higher up on the trim piece up there, we're going to have a T15 fastener that we need to remove. Get that one pulled out, and get the other two pulled out as well. Once you have those removed, what we can do is, if you grab this trim piece, you can kind of just pull it away, separate it from the vehicle, and then if you kind of bend our wheel well liner out of the way as well, give us a little bit of working room here so we can see what we're doing. We're going to have another fastener up in there that we need to pull out as well, and that's going to be located right here where I'm pointing. So the head of the bolt is going to be where the tip of my finger is, and we're going to use a 7mm socket to get that one removed. So this one can be a little tricky to get to. What I found that works best, if you just take your socket and get it started on that bolt first, then kind of put an extension on it and take our tool and get it removed. I want to mention from this point on, anything we do to one side of the truck, we're also going to do to the other side because it'll be set up the same way. So what we can do now is start to remove this center fascia piece here. It runs along through here. So what we're going to do before we go underneath the vehicle and loosen up some tabs is come to each corner, and you're just going to grab the center portion and release it. So you just kind of pull it out. And what we're looking to do is just release it pretty much to about here where it meets the corner of our headlight. So now underneath the vehicle, what we need to do is release some tabs. There's going to be a total of 6 that look just like this. So 4 here in the center and then 1 off to the corner. And if you see this portion here, what I'm doing is I'm moving around that center portion of our fascia. And so you're going to want to grab onto that outside edge and then kind of push down on these black tabs and apply a little bit of pressure on that center portion. That should start to kind of work our fascia out. Sometimes it helps to use a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver, something like that, to give you a little bit of leverage when you're prying on those. And you're just going to have to kind of keep doing this until you work everything free. So once all those are released, you can pull this off. And here's kind of a better look at those clips we were releasing. That's what we were pushing down on to separate it. So once you have this off, you can go ahead and set it to the side. Now if we look in this opening with that center piece out of the way, along the bottom edge of our grill, we're going to have 4 10mm bolts just like this that we need to pull out. Then if we move to the top edge of our grill, we're also going to have 4 more 10mm bolts just like this that we need to pull out as well. Now we can actually get our grill removed, and what you're going to want to do is start at the bottom corner, kind of pull almost towards you and up a little bit. You'll kind of feel it break free, then we can pull it off and set it to the side. Now back underneath the vehicle, here at the very corner, we're going to have a 15mm bolt that secures this support bar to our bumper beam. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out. Over here towards the passenger side of our vehicle, we're going to have some wiring, and we need to disconnect the connector there. So to do that, you'll push down on that tab there in the center. While you're pushing down, pull the two apart. Now what we can do is actually remove our bumper itself, and you're definitely going to want an extra set of hands for this. We're going to have 2 bolts that we need to pull out on each side. So we're going to have an 18mm right here, and then 1 just like it right down here in this pocket. So I went ahead and removed the other side already. I got a friend supporting that side of the bumper beam. Get that one pulled out. Get this one out as well. And then we should be able to grab our bumper and work it off. With it removed, we can set it to the side. Just over here on the driver's side, we're going to have this plate that we need to remove. And to do that, we're going to pull out these 3 15mm bolts. Now on each side, we need to pull out our tow hooks. So we're going to have 2 bolts. They're going to be 18mm. This bolt here is going to be a nut on the back side of it, so you will need a box wrench to hold that to keep it from spinning. So there's that nut. And this one here is just going to be a bolt. Once we have those removed, go ahead and slide out our tow hooks. So now what we can do is get our base plate installed. Now these are side specific, so you want to make sure you have the correct side. One quick way to tell is you want the safety chain opening here to be on the top side of the base plate and facing towards the outside of the truck. The way this is going to work is this slot here. This is going to go inside of the frame rail, like so. And this well nut there is going to line up with a hole in the bottom of our frame rail. So we'll take this, push it into place, and then we can come to the bottom side of our frame and get some hardware started. So on the bottom side of our frame, there's that well nut I showed you on the base plate. And what we're going to do is take our 5/8 bolt, a split lock washer, and this large plate type washer, put that on. Then we're going to take some red Loctite. This does not come included with the kit, but you can grab it here at etrailer. And we're going to put some Loctite on the threads. And we're going to use this red Loctite for all of the hardware that secures the base plate. But the way it's going to work, this is going to thread right into position. And we're just going to get it hand tight for now. At this point, what we can do is, if we look, we're going to have 2 holes here. This one towards the back, we are going to have to drill out some. But this one up here is a complete pass-through. So to prevent our base plate from moving around while we're drilling, what I'm going to do is just take a long bolt and a nut, pass it completely through, and just get the nut started on the other side, hand tight. That way it'll hold the base plate kind of steady while we drill out that hole. So using this hole as a guide, we can take our drill bit and drill it completely through to the other side. With that hole drilled out, now we can remove this bolt, pull it out. Get some Loctite on those threads. Put some on the other long bolt as well. And what we're going to do is take this style of plate washer there, put our 2 long bolts through it, and these are going to go through the holes. Or we can go to the other side of the frame rail and get the rest of the hardware on. So here's where the bolts come through. We can take, again, one of these plate washers, slide that on. We're going to put on a split lock washer on each bolt, followed by a hex nut. And again, we're just going to get these on hand tight. And then down here on the base plate, we're going to have another attachment point. So we'll use the hole in the base plate as an alignment. That way we can drill out through this portion of the steel. Now that our hole is drilled, we can take this bolt, again, put on some Loctite, pass that through, and where it comes out on the other side, right there, we can take this square plate washer, slide that on, another split lock washer, and again, a hex nut. Now with all of our hardware in place and hand tight, you can come back and snug it all down. Now we can go ahead and take a torque wrench and tighten down all of our hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. And on the driver's side here, now that our base plate is on, we can go ahead and reinstall this plate here. This will go on the opposite way that we removed it. We'll just line it up and reinstall our factory hardware. Now what you can do is install the other side of the base plate here the same way that we did the driver's side. And once you have that done, you can reinstall the front clip and put everything back together the opposite way that you removed it. However, what I'm going to do is install some of our other flat toe components like our braking system and our wiring. And I'm doing that at this point because with the bumper off, we're going to have all this extra room to work. So it's going to make it a lot easier. So if you have those components, I would suggest doing the same thing. If not, like I said, you'll simply reinstall everything the opposite way. Now what we can do is move over here to our bumper and trim out this little portion here where our base plate goes through. If your bumper opening looks different, don't have these small tabs, and it's just one large opening, you don't have to worry about this part. But I marked out where we're going to trim. This is kind of a soft rubber, so I'm just using a sharp utility knife. And all we're going to do is cut out them openings. At this point, with an extra set of hands, we can go ahead and reinstall our bumper. Might have to kind of get the base plate worked through and kind of slide it on and re-secure it with the factory hardware. So once you get your bumper situated and re-secured, we can go ahead and start putting the whole front end back together the opposite way that we removed it. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Roadmaster base plate kit with removable arms on our 2015 GMC Sierra 1500.